I know this might not work out well, but I figured I would try it multiple different ways to see what works. With this being the official induction into our second Hall of Fame induction for the class of 2023, it is the Russian Bear, Ivan Koloff. To look back, the first induction was the Briscoe brothers, which I will get to in an official video a little bit down the road. This is me trying a little bit differently ways to do it as far as inducting people into the Hall of Fame. For those who may not be aware, Ivan Koloff started as Red McNulty, billed from Dublin, Ireland, and wrestling with an eye patch. For the next 3 years, he wrestled around the Toronto area, which I knew. He started up in Canada. Am I busted open? I actually am. Okay. But it wasn't until he started as a member of the IWA in Montreal when he would become the Russian Bear. The Russian Bear, Ivan Koloff, and then he would debut in late 1969 with Captain Lou Albano as a member of the WWF, and he soon started a rivalry with then World's Champion Bruno Sammartino, as Ivan Koloff would become the man who would defeat Bruno on January 18th, 1971 for the WWF Championship, ending what was an incredible, historic run that Bruno had, his first run as champion. And, I do believe that in a way, Ivan Koloff may have been one of the people that helped coin the phrase of a transition champion. Ivan Koloff was the guy who took the belt off of Bruno and transitioned the title to Pedro Morales. It led to many people wondering I'm sure at the time it led to people wondering why why Ivan won the belt, but at the same time, I have heard plenty of stories about how silent the garden fell on the night that Bruno dropped the belt to Ivan Koloff. And even though Ivan Koloff held the title for less than a week before dropping it to Pedro Morales, or 21 days, sorry, 21 days before dropping it to Pedro, he still went down in history as the third person ever to hold the WWF Championship, and one of the first to be called Transition Champion. So, he'll always have two things to his resume, or two things on his resume. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, he'll have two things on his resume. But another thing that Ivan Koloff was known for is, after he walked away from the WWF in the late 1970s, early 1980s, he found his way over to Georgia Championship Wrestling and the Mid-Atlantic Territories. And he would welcome his nephew Nikita to the wrestling world as the Russian team, and they would become among the top heels in the Mid-Atlantic region, as well as teaming with Crusher Khrushchev, and the trio would become among the top groups, or the different variations, as Crusher Khrushchev would become a Russian sympathizer, and Nikita, the trio would be Crusher Khrushchev, Nikita, and Ivan in Mid-Atlantic or Jim Crockett Promotions. But I believe Crusher Khrushchev was with Vladimir Koloff alongside Ivan in Mid-South, or Vladimir Petrov, in Mid-South, as the Russians were paired with Eddie Gilbert in Mid-South during Eddie Gilbert's run with the Mid-South territory. And also, also I don't know if much was made when Ivan, following Magnum TA's car accident or motorcycle accident in 1986, Nikita turned babyface and sided with Dusty Rhodes. And to my knowledge, I don't think, well, to my knowledge, number one, I don't think Ivan stayed around much after 1986 or long after 1986, noticing that they were a top villainous group until 1986. And I believe 1980. Well, here we go. 1988. He later split it with Jones. He retired in 1992 or 1994. 1994, sorry. But he would also spend a little bit of time as one of the many legends on the card in ECW when they were under the Eastern Championship Wrestling banner. And he would officially retire from professional wrestling with his last match being in November 2013 against Bob Armstrong. But he would compete at the conventions. He fought Dominic DeNucci in August 2005. And win a Legends title as a part of NWA Charlotte, defeating the Barbarian. But it is crazy to say that, it is crazy to say to try and discount the influence that Ivan Koloff had on the professional wrestling business, because he was one of the many people that would take the Russian sympathizer gimmick and make it his career, starting in 1967, sorry. 1967. And, I mean, from 1967 till he retired at first in 1994, and then permanently in 2015, he would make it his career. And that is crazy that it went that long for Ivan Koloff, that he worked that gimmick that long. And I mean, he gave Nikita Koloff his career. He gave Crusher Khrushchev, aka Barry Darsow, one of his many, many gimmicks. He gave Vladimir Petrov a chance to have a career on national television, which a lot of people don't even know who Vladimir Petrov is. And he also actually wrestled. He also actually wrestled in Smoky Mountain Wrestling's first national television main event, by beating Bobby Fulton, which is actually something I didn't even know, because I knew Ivan Koloff worked for Jim Cornette, but I didn't know that he worked for Jim Cornette in Jim Cornette's first televised show. But it's fitting considering the timing, as he was on the Indies from 1992 to 1994. But to discount the legacy that, even outside of the short title reign, it's like Mick Foley said in that Passion promo that he did a few years ago. It doesn't matter the length. It matters that because history doesn't remember the length. History remembers that you did it. People remember that you were a world champion. They don't remember how long you were. Just nerds like I do. But Ivan Koloff was the person who defeated Bruno Sammartino for his WWF championship in 1971. Ivan Koloff was the one who was the third ever WWF champion. He was one of the top heels and had a rejuvenation almost 10 years later as one of the top heel groups in Jim Crockett Promotions. Not many people can say they had a second career. Not many people say they could have a second. Not many people can say they had a second career in two different companies, on two nationally televised companies, or widely known, two of the most popular companies in professional wrestling, like Ivan Koloff. That takes a special talent, and that is what I wanted to do with this year. And actually, Ivan Koloff would also win the tag team belts, not just with his nephew Nikita, but also Don Carnolo, who turned heel to join up with, or who was a heel at the time, joining up with, or actually, I don't think he was a heel at the time. I think he was a heel, more known as a heel, but that's beside the point. Don Carnolo, who was also one of the top tag team wrestlers of the generation in that area. But that's what I wanted to do with this year for the Hall of Fame. I wanted to right the wrongs that I had, that I felt that I did, and give those who I believe belong in the Hall of Fame the opportunity to be a part of the Wrestling Express Hall of Fame. And that is why it is with great pleasure that I welcome Ivan Koloff into the Wrestling Express Hall of Fame class of 2023. Let me know down in the comment section below if you like these types of videos, or if you would prefer me doing it where I focus more on just the performer without the action in the background. Let me know down in the comment section below. But either way, welcome Ivan Koloff to the Wrestling Express Hall of Fame class of 2023. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video.